Welcome to FOB TV, the future of business. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict. I'm a futurist and lecturer here at TCS, and I want to thank all of you for joining the program today. I'm really excited about our topic today. We're going to be talking all things in manufacturing, automation, digital transformation, AI, you name it. And our guest today, and I'm so excited that he joined us, is Helenio Gilabert, who's global head of offer creation with the industrial automation services at Schneider Electric. Thanks for joining us, Helenio.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
So where are you calling in from today?
I'm in the Boston area, based out of Foxborough.
So is it sunny or rainy or cold, or what's going on in Boston?
Very rainy today. So it's been raining for the last 24 hours or so. So I'm looking forward to that to end and spring to finally arrive. So,
all right. Well, we're going to talk a lot about AI today in the context of manufacturing. So why don't we warm up, get started here? Let me just ask you, what do you use generative AI for the most? And then how often do you use it?
You mean personally or
yes,
in general?
Personally.
All right. So I use it a lot to bounce ideas. I think it's a great tool to help me structure thoughts, to decompose problems into its main components, and then to elaborate on some thoughts or ideas that I have regarding those. So it's a great tool to help in the thought process, really, right? So, and how to be more efficient in organizing thoughts, ideas, and then the execution of those. How often do I use it? I would say almost daily.
Yes, I think I have to say all day, every day, just about, because so much of what my job as a futurist is research-based. Right. And I'm talking and I'm looking at different industries in the morning and then a different industry in the afternoon. And so to bring it up and say what's going on in this industry, if we look at the latest trends for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, oh man, the wealth of information that can come up. And then as an, I have a lot of gray hairs. I've been a futurist for many years. So I can look at it and I can go, dang, that's good. Yes. Because that's flowing. The information's flowing as I'm seeing things as well. So far, so good. I'm really excited about it, matter of fact.
Yeah, it makes the conversations with oneself a lot more entertaining, I have to say, right? Because you just bounce ideas out of, the AI, and it's...
Oh, yeah. And one of the things I found out, Helenio, is when you start asking it to make judgment questions, that's so much fun. You can get it to argue both sides of the story, and you're like, ooh, that's good. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible tool. It helps a lot especially with complex concepts, right? So breaking them down. So it's fantastic.
So in your area, let's go back here and let's just talk about your title, Global Head of Offer Creation, Industrial Automation Services. Talk to us about what that encompasses and what's involved there.
Sure. So it's really focusing on what should we do next? What can we do next? And quite honestly, also the other part of that is what are the things we should not be focusing on in the future as well, right? So to help us focus on the things we really want to achieve, the goals we have set for the organization around growth, around the problem spaces we want to help our customers in, and so on. And coming up with the solutions that we want to bring to market, right? So, and then we have a process where we like to co-innovate with our customers. So it's very much an outside-in environment where we try to bring ideas, challenges, concerns from our customer base, current and future customers, and find ways to, well, solve the problem, provide the value they're looking for, and collaboratively work in developing those ideas from ideation, conceptualization, incubation, and then eventually industrialization and commercialization. And at that point, we hand it off to a different team that will take the lifecycle management of those ideas. But really, it's just focusing on that innovation space.
That's awesome. And you do that all within Schneider Electric. Tell us about Schneider. For those that aren't familiar with it, I've been exposed for many decades to what you guys do, but a lot of people, it might be a new company for them.
Yes, and the first thing I can say is we're not an elevator company. And a lot of you will not know what I mean by that. But we're really a large multinational organization focusing on energy and automation, and energy efficiency, and digital transformation, and instrumentation, and all the other areas within automation as well. We're about a 38 billion euros company, 140,000 people around the world, 120 countries where we have a presence. And our main two business units and focus are around energy management and industrial automation.
Thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like when I just think through your description there, AI must touch every area, every part, every component, every element of what you guys do.
Oh, absolutely. So, and we are betting big on AI as well. So Schneider decided a couple of years ago that AI was going to be one of the main areas of investment. And we created a global organization within our organization, centrally, that is only focus is on developing and facilitating the adoption of AI solutions within the organization, both internally and as part of our products and offers.
So when you look at manufacturing outside of AI, what is going on that's most exciting to you?
Outside of AI.
Yeah.
So it's the drive for efficiency, right? So, and I know that this has been going on for a long time, but it's more important than ever, right? So, and the reason why, being the many uncertainties that are affecting the world these days, companies need to be able to react very quickly to changing environments, and they can change in any aspect, quite literally on a dime from one week to the other. And they need to be able to adapt, and not only adapt, but excel under the new environments to be successful, and sometimes just to survive, right? So, and the only way to do that is to be very efficient at what you do, to have it all defined and figured out in a way that you can take on these changing environments, know exactly how they're going to affect you, and roll out the strategy and the actions necessary to be able to mitigate those impacts. And in some cases, even take advantage of those and make a move to increase your market share, increase your profitability, or whatever the right approach for your company's strategy is, right?
Yeah.
So that change on a dime, that's I think very exciting, right? So because that drives all sorts of activities within an organization, and they have impact everywhere from people, technology, process that they need to be aware of and thinking about, right?
Helenio, as a futurist, we use this term a lot, and we use a framework to think about the future. It's called the convergence model, because when somebody says, so, well, you know, what are the things, or what is the thing that's going to shape the world or something like that, we're saying it's a convergence of hundreds of things coming together at a certain time frame, which will impact the sequence and shape of our future. And, you know, right now we're looking at things like AI, automation, digital twins, you know, all this kind of just-in-time manufacturing and intelligent manufacturing. And even we're thinking about all these new business models that can spin out of the convergence of those things. Do you see it similarly?
Absolutely, yes. So, and the challenge for us, and especially in my group, is which ones of those will have the greatest impact next. Some of them may be on a much shorter term in terms of how they materialize and the impact they're going to have in our customers and the industry versus other ones that may be longer term. And some of them sometimes are more hype than reality as well, right? Yeah. So their impact is much more limited than the expectation from the market. Right?
So let me ask you about fusion energy. Is that more hype or is that real?
Well, I can give you my personal opinion.
Okay, bring it on.
I think it's more hype in the short term. I think people expect a lot more, much sooner than it actually will happen. I think it's more a misalignment of the when rather than of the what, right? So.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about another concept we read a lot about nowadays, the fully autonomous factory. So what does this look like in the future? Will there really be these lights out autonomous operations where resources go in one door and finished product out the back and no humans in the building? Tell us what you think there.
Again, the question will be, what's the time frame you have in mind?
Okay.
Because, lights out manufacturing has been a term being used for, I don't know even how long. Probably even way before I joined the industry. And I've been around for a while. So will it happen overnight? No. But are we making significant advances in that direction? The answer is absolutely yes, especially with the latest and greatest advancements on AI, right? So, because is AI going to take over everything in the short term? Absolutely not. Is AI going to make people, processes significantly more efficient? Absolutely yes, right? So, and will that facilitate a transition to a more efficient manufacturing process where humans are less involved? Absolutely. Are we talking about a completely human out of the loop? No, we're not yet.
Got it. Now, does Schneider Electric get involved in robotics?
Yes, we do have a product line of cobots that Schneider brings to market. Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. So I imagine we'll see more and more of those in key strategic areas as well going forward.
Yes, and where it starts getting interesting is where you start merging robots with other technologies like computer vision or predictive analytics, and also thinking about new interfaces between humans and machines. Now that the machines are going to be more autonomous or even moving around the planet, right? So then how do you evolve the way that we interact with those machines is going to be also an interesting thing to watch evolve.
So what are the dependencies that you see that are kind of still missing from this lights out manufacturing environment that people like to fantasize about?
When things go wrong, that's the part that we still have to learn more about, gather more data for, so that we can then create the systems in the future that can handle those abnormal behaviors, right? So I think that aspect, even though we're getting closer with the latest and greatest AI models, especially the reasoning models, right? So those are an interesting step towards that.
Yeah.
But managing of abnormal, infrequent events, that's where we struggle, because usually, by nature, they are infrequent and there's not a whole lot of data for us to train models on how to handle those, right?
Got it. So companies that are looking to be early adopters and leaders in their category when it comes to manufacturing, are there kind of these new emerging strategic technology stacks that are going to help companies get there faster? Talk to us about those. What are the early adopters and the leaders? What are their stacks going to look like?
Yeah, everybody needs to start the foundation for being able to implement the technologies that will allow them to be at the forefront, which is digitization, right? So, and it's nowadays, with all the talk of AI, it kind of has been forgotten, but you cannot implement these advanced technologies if you don't have a clear visibility into your plan from a digital perspective. If it's not digitized, you cannot automate it. If you cannot automate it, you cannot deploy any of this intelligence and all that on top of it, right? So start at the beginning, make sure you have a clear strategy around the digitization of your plant, and then let's work into automation, and then we can work into intelligence and lights out manufacturing and all that. But without the bedrock of digitization, you're not going to get it anywhere.
Got it. So let's talk about predicting and preventing problems that might arise out there. So how can this combination of AI and automation and digital twins all be used and converged together to help predict and prevent these kinds of disruptions?
Right. So the prediction, there's different ways of doing that, but one of the most common ones is through pattern recognition, right? So which means, back to the data, you have to have good data that you can use to train your models to detect and then classify the type of events that may be happening with the process, with the machine, with an asset, whatever the level may be, right? And there's also a different approach where you can create the data. So that's where the digital twin comes in, right? So, and you can use the digital twin to generate data without having to go and capture it, right? So whether it's just generating scenarios and then using the traditional model training, or using deep reinforced learning as another self-learning type of approach, that's also viable. Now, the beauty with the models is that then you can do scenarios that you have not seen in your plan or that are not frequent enough to have enough data to train regular models, right? So that's where you have the digital twin provides the most value, right? So you can just simulate hundreds of scenarios, thousands of scenarios, tens of thousands of scenarios, depending on the process or the complexity of the asset you're looking at. And they can be of things that are completely outside normal operations. So that starts getting us closer to that abnormal behavior capacity, infrequent abnormal behavior capacity that's going to be required for autonomous operations, right? So I think they're all key pieces of the puzzle that we need to put together to be able to get us there in the future, right?
Oh, wow. Let me give you a scenario, Helenio. So you have the assembly line you have some very narrow focused, skilled robots building things. And then you have a supervisor level above that kind of watches the entire assembly line to make sure that line is moving and there's no disruptions. And then you have a level above that, which is maybe at a plant level, where you have somebody that's looking at everything going on in the plant to make sure it's optimized and efficient. Above that, you may even have your executives and then your board of directors. Where do you see AI being able to contribute up and down that stack?
Oh, everywhere. And the reason being at the higher levels is just a roll-up of the information that is produced at the plant level, right? So it will impact everywhere. For example, being able to, as you were mentioning, predict the issues, failures, or maintenance requirements of the devices before they break down, so that you can optimize your maintenance programs. Or also, if you look at the plant level, you can deploy AI to understand the movement between the different stations, between the production line, the interfaces with humans. So we still have humans in the plant and understand simple things like the layout of the plant itself, how much of the time the operator is spending in the factory is productive time versus non-productive time by the design or the outcomes of the process itself. Because it's not properly set up, it's not optimized for the interactions with the human. You can get all of that information through AI. And one of the specific examples, we use cameras and computer vision to digitize the human part of the process, right? So in the interactions between human and machines, and understand the effectiveness of those interactions and allow us to optimize that part of the process. And that goes up, and the data that you see at the floor gets rolled up into more business type of KPIs, like utilization of the plant, utilization of the machines and the people, capacity management, and so on, that are more interesting to either the plant manager and the executives and the board at the end of the day, in terms of how are we using our assets? How are we getting the most out of the capital investment we made in this plant? Do we have more capacity to deal with, again, unknown changes in the market? Can we switch suppliers? That's another aspect, which is environmental impacts on the quality of your production, right? So supplier correlation to the quality of the product based on the quality of the source material you get from different suppliers and providers. So there's all sorts of things that can be done that will add value, not only at the shop floor, but at the decision-making level, in terms of where you direct your investment and the way the company is performing as a whole.
Man, that is painting a visual for us of how important AI is going to be in every single level, in every machine and control, in the decision-making. So when you think about all the decisions that a factory requires of humans today, I wonder what percentage of those decisions can be better operated or conducted by AI?
That's a very good question, and I think it's very difficult to answer today. My guess is that more than we think, but less than we hope to be able to achieve that autonomous operation, right? So
very interesting. Yeah. So let's talk about other enabling technologies, things like edge computing, and robots and cobots that will be moving around, doing more and more different kinds of tasks out there. Do you see those? What kind of time frame are you seeing those kinds of things actually being done in factories?
Well, they're very much a reality in warehouses. And to a certain degree in factories, especially for moving between different stations and lines and moving products and things around. When will they become more staple of a production facility? That one, I think, is not that long. I mean, for very specific types of tasks, right? So, like, again, moving products around, or some basic manual stations can be automated through cobots and robots. But I think the more complex features that require some reasoning, those are a little bit further ahead.
So part of your area of responsibility, Helenio, is innovation, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about AI and innovation. Where do you see AI being able to supercharge innovation in companies?
I think we were discussing before, right? So, in the use of large language models to help us find areas, refine thoughts, processes, bounce ideas. It's a great tool for that today. Plus, also put together, quite honestly, start putting together some of the business cases, some of the description of the problem spaces as well, and the existing solutions, if any. It's a great tool for that, and accelerates work that was very, quite honestly, tedious and long before, it can be now done much quicker by using those tools today, right? So,
oh man, Helenio, I'm writing a report right now on robotic surgery. And this is a new area for me, but boy, using AI, and I'm using multiple platforms and vendors with AI to kind of cross-reference themselves. It can bring up, show me all the unique categories in this, in the competitive categories of robotic surgery and what they're good at and what they're not and how they're different from each other. It's like, whoa.
yeah.
Man, and it's a brand new area for me. I haven't been exposed in depth.
Right, and that would have taken you weeks without those tools to get all that information.
I know, just filtering through, HTML and trying to figure out what's real and what's not. Wow.
Right.
Really interesting. So let's talk about how AI and digital twins and automation can potentially change the way manufacturing is done, maybe even change the business model for a lot of manufacturing around being able to quickly to create customized and personalized products that come out because they're all digitized and they can be tooled or retooled very quickly to be able to create more variations of products, complete different product lines very rapidly. Are you seeing that actually being done, or is it just being fantasized about?
That's a good question. Seeing it being done, not yet. Something that's been discussed and that we ourselves have done some investigations on, absolutely. So production as a service, production on demand, customized production, those are things that we think are going to become real down the road. But at least personally, I have not seen it in reality yet. Right?
Got it. So if somebody listening to our podcast today, Helenio, is this entrepreneur and they want to find a problem that they can solve, what are the problems that are still left unsolved in manufacturing?
Oh, that's a good question. Many, but what I would say, key aspect is not only the problems that are unsolved, that were not solved in the most efficient or practical way before. So one of the aspects of technology is, and how we find also some of our own use cases, is look at the processes that operators are doing manually today. Because just a few years ago, we did not have the technology to digitize them, right? So, and then start your thought experiment. If this was real-time digital information, what value could we bring to that operator, right? So to that company, what distinctive competitive advantage could we provide them if they had that information at their fingertips? And that's how you start identifying some of the opportunities out there, which there are plenty. There's a lot of processes that depend on humans today that can be optimized. I mean, I'm not saying that we should think of removing the human. I think, as we discussed, there's still very much a need to have that human in the loop, but we can make him infinitely more efficient at what they're doing, right? So, and give them a wealth of knowledge that before it would have taken them years, if at all, to be able to achieve instantly, right? So, and that's the use cases we need to find, right?
So last question, I want us to think a little bit about ecosystems. If we go back many decades, maybe even a century, manufacturing was pretty much done inside four walls. They'd bring in the resources, they would do all the magic they need to in the manufacturing facility, and out comes a finished product. Today, very few products get made that way. There's partners, there's ecosystems, there's suppliers, there's resource, contract manufacturers, everything everywhere out there. So how do you see AI helping with those extended advanced ecosystems that support manufacturing.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges we have because you have this fragmented ecosystem. That means everybody has different definitions on what their assets are. Their data models, the way that they see the world is completely different, which makes having systems talk to each other and take advantage of each other much more difficult. So one of the aspects where AI can certainly help is unbridging that gap in between the definition of an asset, an object, a value on one system to the other, and then bringing a continuity so that we can arrive to that view where we can look at supply, resources, inputs, people, process, machines, and the output, which are the products, the consumer, and eventually even the life cycle of that product, whether it's circularity or not, so that we can start extending the lifetime and the productivity of the assets and the resources that we use. So to me, AI will play that unifying role. And of course, within each of the different parts, it will also help make that more efficient, productive, profitable, sustainable for everybody. But we need to also look at the end-to-end, and that's difficult today because it's all disconnected, right? So there's no one standard that goes from cradle to grave on a product, or even the recycling and the future lives of that product. And we need to work on that. And I think AI will play a major role in allowing us to do that.
So, Helenio, early on in my career, I was very much involved in EDI, where you would create standardized electronic messages between suppliers and
right.
vendors and your invoices and everything else. And it's so fascinating to me that is, some people look at that EDI and those standards as being very boring. But here we are in 2025, and there's still those problems that are slowing us down, and we still need more standards.
Absolutely. Either standards or at least ways for us to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And that may be the role AI will play, right? Facilitating that communication.
Fascinating. Helenio, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Kevin. It was definitely a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.